Amidst the battlefield strewn with armored monster corpses, only one massive creature remained, standing alone, roaring with rage and pain. Hyrkan, standing in the rain, turned to face it, and charged forward with astonishing speed. With a chilling smile, he asked if it was sad that all its subordinates had been wiped out. He added that it too would soon be reunited with them. Hyrkan's taunt made the surviving monster roar in fury, stomping its foot on the ground, preparing for the final confrontation. Hyrkan stood facing the level 80 Helm Ogre, preparing for a battle to the death. From a safe distance, a group of players observed. One of them was still reeling from the previous battle. The others worried, believing even Hyrkan would struggle against this monster. Suddenly, a player recognized his teammate from the Tune Guild, and told him to pay attention to the ogre's eyes. Upon closer inspection, they discovered its eyes were alternately black and red. This was characteristic of a corrupted monster linked to the main quest, whose power was usually 3 times that of normal monsters. Hyrkan charged at the Helm Ogre, attacking it. He found it quite robust, superior to the defeated subordinates. From a distance, the group of players showed panic. One of them hastily warned Hyrkan not to get too close to the monster. Just then, the Helm Ogre let out a furious roar, its body beginning to emanate a terrifying dark aura. Its glowing red eyes flashed, then it charged straight towards Hyrkan with horrifying speed. From afar, an unknown player observed with a worried expression, believing the situation had become hopeless, and that even the Haho mask couldn't handle the monster. In contrast to that panic, Hyrkan appeared ready for action. A fierce blue aura erupted, enveloping him. He swung his sword, gathering energy into a dazzling magical vortex, then challenged the ogre to try and stop his attack. Immediately, all power was unleashed in a mighty slash, creating a colossal burst of light that surged directly towards the Helm Ogre. In an instant, Hyrkan's body gently landed. From a distance, the group of players was completely speechless at the incredibly swift outcome. One of them still couldn't believe Hyrkan had actually won. Meanwhile, a series of system notifications appeared, confirming Hyrkan had successfully defeated the Helm Ogre, receiving gold, experience points, and leveling up. Standing on the monster's slowly dissipating body, he found the battle quite easy, and began to consider his next move. Just then, another notification informed him that he had received the Helm Ogre's helmet shard. After receiving the notification that he had fulfilled the mission's requirements, Hyrkan intended to return to Mawung to continue the main storyline. However, before leaving, he suddenly remembered an issue that needed to be resolved: the distribution of acquired items. The spoils from 20 black orcs and a rare Helm Ogre would certainly be very valuable. As per custom, the player who first attacked the monster would have the right to decide how to divide the rewards, which made the other players worried. Yet Hyrkan felt annoyed because he was the one who had shouldered the entire battle. He secretly found it troublesome, thinking he should have waited for them all to be eliminated from the start. Unexpectedly, one of the observers spoke up, expressing empathy that they understood the feeling of being abandoned at one's lowest point. These words briefly surprised Hyrkan. Immediately after, another player from the group also stepped forward, explaining that his body had acted on its own after hearing Hyrkan's voice. This person, on behalf of the group, offered thanks, stating that their lives were preserved thanks to him. Hyrkan silently acknowledged their gratitude, though doubt still lingered in his mind. However, the atmosphere quickly changed when the initial player declared they couldn't let him leave so easily. Tension enveloped them, and a cold, sharp smile subtly formed on Hyrkan's lips. Hyrkan thought to himself it was exactly as expected. Before the allure of wealth, everything else became meaningless. Immediately after, the group of players suddenly swarmed around him, pushing and arguing over who would get to take a photo with him first. This puzzling behavior confused Hyrkan. One person in the group explained they were trying to take a selfie with him as proof of their participation in the raid. Still wary, Hyrkan spoke up, asking if they wanted to share the spoils. The burly man looked bewildered by the question. He turned to another teammate and asked if he needed any items. The other teammate cheerfully replied that of course he did, as those items were worth a fortune. Immediately, the burly man slapped him hard on the shoulder. He suggested Hyrkan should take all the spoils after saving them. The entire group of players then became extremely enthusiastic, encouraging him to accept it all in a romantic manner. Hyrkan was completely bewildered by this strange behavior, wondering what their concept of romance was. Truly unable to understand them, Hyrkan decided to leave. He and his skeleton army swiftly moved through the dense forest. Just then, one of the unfamiliar players called out, offering Hyrkan a chance to join their clan. A player representing the group offered to help Hyrkan at any time, despite admitting their skills couldn't match his. Hyrkan observed them and briefly thought that even though they seemed foolish, playing with them might be fun. However, he quickly dismissed the idea. He realized that if he journeyed with them, he would never become the strongest version of himself. With a cold smile, Hyrkan redefined his path. He believed someone like him must face worthy opponents, the top 30 families. With his resolve set, Hyrkan turned and ordered his skeleton army to accelerate. He wanted to quickly complete the current quest to continue moving forward. Elsewhere, amidst the battlefield, Shiru stood upon the colossal beast's corpse, surrounded by astonished guild members. While everyone cheered her triumph and called for the harvesting team, Shiru only felt this battle was too easy. The crowd acclaimed her as the Thunder Queen. Shiru's gaze turned towards Hahi and Hatch. Hahi was utterly ecstatic, showering endless praise on Shiru's elegant and magnificent moves. After gently landing, Shiru inquired about the situation. Hatch seriously reported that they had 2 new pieces of news to report. Hatch began reporting on a war that had erupted between 2 of the top 30 clans, the Triple Wing clan and Big Smile. The conflict originated from an altercation between a Big Smile officer and a Triple Wing member, who coincidentally met during a raid. Since then, both sides have poured immense resources into this war, with the Big Smile clan suffering the heaviest losses. Shiru considered waging war during the critical main quest phase foolish, and Hatch quickly agreed with her assessment. She expressed a desire for one of the 2 clans to fall after this war. Afterward, she inquired about the second piece of news, which left Hatch confused and flustered. Hatch reported to Shiru that Haho Mask had defeated Helm Ogre. Instead of getting angry, Shiru merely smiled, realizing their opponent was always one step ahead in the main story. This reaction astonished Hatch, while Hahi joyfully nuzzled into her lap. Not wanting to be outpaced, Shiru decided they needed to speed up. She ordered the Thunder Hunters Guild to claim Chapter 2 of the main story and instructed them to meet Ma Wung for their next mission. Hyrkan suddenly found himself standing before Ahimbri and was greatly startled upon being called a disciple. Ahimbri explained he had heard from Ma Wung about Hyrkan's successful completion of missions, so he decided to grant him the Ring of the Secret Society as recognition. It was a unique item with superior stats. However, Hyrkan was far from pleased. He felt annoyed that things were smoothly progressing only to take an unexpected turn. He recalled his previous conversation at Ma Wung's hut. Back then, Hyrkan had been very excited and quickly agreed to join the secret society. Ma Wung had warned him to consider carefully, as becoming a member meant being ready to face danger. Nevertheless, Hyrkan had resolutely accepted it without hesitation. Hyrkan assured Ma Wung that he was ready to confront the evil forces. However, his true purpose was to acquire the ring that would enhance his power after becoming a member of the secret society. Ma Wung agreed and requested Hyrkan to go and meet his master again. Hyrkan was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect the person who gave him the emblem to be NPC Ahimbri. He knew this person would never give him an item easily, but would play tricks to make things difficult for him. Hyrkan prostrated himself on the floor, initially showing an attitude that such humbling acts might not always work. However, he quickly admitted the reward was too good to refuse and asked Ahimbri to bestow it. Ahimbri was immensely pleased by his change of heart. Hyrkan's face flushed with shame and anger. After suppressing a laugh, Ahimbri announced that, as a new member of the secret society, Hyrkan would receive his next mission. He explained that Hyrkan needed a mission to grow stronger. As he spoke, Ahimbri summoned a glowing item and declared that Hyrkan's next destination would be the war zone. Hyrkan looked up with a stunned expression, completely unable to believe what he had just heard. Guided by the mission, Hyrkan arrived at the place known as the war zone. The scene unfolding before his eyes left him utterly stunned. Amidst the ruined structures, a large-scale battle was raging fiercely.